Alright, what's up guys? My name is Zach and today I am driving a 2004 Honda Civic. Up front is a 1.7 liter inline 4 and down below is a 4-speed automatic transmission. Now I am super excited to be driving this Honda Civic for two reasons. First of all, this generation of Civic is pretty unloved. There's not a whole lot of aftermarket support for it. You don't see this on the cover of magazines. You didn't see it driving under semis and Fast and Furious. And so we're going to be talking about why that is and why this is also still a pretty decent car. The second reason is that this is a normal Civic. I've only reviewed Civics of this generation that were specialty cars, like a manual hybrid down in Florida. I actually had to evacuate for a tropical storm after that video was filmed. And the Civic Si from this generation, which shares almost no components with this Civic. So this is the run-of-the-mill. This is the volume seller for the time, and I'm excited to share it with you. But if you would like to submit your own vehicle and have it reviewed here on the channel, you can head on over to my website, zackpradel.com/submit. It's a quick and easy submission form. It takes under a minute to fill out, and I come out to you. And if you'd like to see all my videos weeks or sometimes months in advance, you can head on over to my Patreon for only $5 a month. But let's get back to that 1.7 liter inline 4. Well, that's part of the reason why enthusiasts drop this like a hot cake, or hot potato. Whatever the word. The 1.7 liter was a kind of unloved engine. It didn't have a whole lot of aftermarket support. It wasn't nearly as buzzy or as rev happy as the 1.8 liter and 1.6 liter that came before it, the D and B series. And at the time there was the K20, which stole the spotlight for Civic engines. So this is a very much breezed over engine, not necessarily for any reason other than the fact that it's a little bit boring, but it's reliable. It's still a Honda engine from this era, so it still does the job and does it quite happily. Like I said, paired to it is a 4-speed automatic transmission. Again, boring, uneventful. You could find these in manual, as well as in some markets they did have CVTs, which is just strange, and they abandoned that pretty quickly. But this is just a tried and true little 4-speed. Last but not least, of course, the Honda Civic is front-wheel drive. So how does it feel to drive the 04 Civic? It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. It's just fine. Another big reason why enthusiasts didn't really love this car was that they actually switched from double wishbone suspension up front to McPherson strut. Now, McPherson strut has its advantages. It's more cost effective. It's a more compact system, so you get a little bit more room in the interior, and that's what Honda was going for. However, it doesn't handle quite like a double wishbone suspension would, and the previous generations were double wishbone, so they drove and handled better. This drives like an economy car that no one cares about, as opposed to the EK Civic. That could be turned into a track toy with very few modifications. So again, this was kind of a downgrade for enthusiasts. With that stuff out of the way, let's talk about the interior. Well, in front of me, I have 4 gauges. Off to the left is my tachometer, in the center is the speedometer, and off to the right is the coolant temperature and fuel. On the steering wheel, we do get our cruise control to the right, but nothing else beyond that. And off to the left, we do have a climate vent with this little mysterious switch that has been twist tied to the vent. It's a train horn. Owner put a train horn in it. Down below that, we do have our cruise control button as well as power mirror adjustments. And moving on to the door, we have lock and unlock and our power windows, along with this very nice 90s style fabric on the door. I really, really love that feel. Moving into the center, we do have 2 climate vents with the hazard switch, the radio, as well as climate controls off to the left for where to send it, temperature, and fan speed. We have buttons for recirculating AC and rear defrost, and a little cubby to finish out the interior. I really love how clean and simple this is. No big screens, no big distractions, no crazy weird climate buttons. It's just all very, very plain, and it works very, very well. Down below, we do have a 12-volt outlet, and we do have an openable cubby with cup holders, so we'll do a big friggin' bottle test. However, unfortunately, it fails. Then we get the shifter out in the middle of nowhere, doing nothing. Then we do have a handbrake, a little tiny center console that is useful for maybe a napkin or two. And the seats are cloth. This was a pretty low trim of the Civic, so nothing enjoyable. They're cloth, they're manual, nothing more than what you would need. However, speaking of seats, we do have back seats, so let's go do a back seat review. All right, we're in the back of the Civic, and I feel a little bit like Wreck-It Ralph in the back of here. I don't quite fit well. I feel a little bit oversized, but I'm an oversized guy, so nothing new. My knees are hitting the seat in front of me. My head's coming close to the ceiling. I'm 5'11", not a small guy. But besides that, it's a fine place to be. Cloth seats carry on back here. No center console to save money. No vents. No plugins. I do have power windows, which I guess is a nice feature for 04 in a basic economy car, but again, nothing really crazy. But that's also the Civic superpower, is that you know what you're gonna get. There's no weird beep, squeaks, or rattles back here. There's no secret features that make you scratch your head or that might break. That's the biggest thing. There's no center console back here for your kids to yank out. There's no climate vents back here to break. Now, I would have liked those things, but simple. Simple is the name of the game. Let's talk about the, I'm sure, very simple trunk. All right, around the back of the Honda Civic. Now, we do have buttons on the key fob, but neither for the trunk, just lock and unlock. So come over here, pop it up like that, and there you go. Again, like the back seat, like the rest of this vehicle, it is incredibly simple. It is rather spacious though. So moving in and out of college, going away, moving to your new apartment is going to be pretty easy with this trunk. And you can pull this up and we do get a spare tire and, you know, extras. Dangerous, don't touch. All right, not gonna touch that. That's the trunk space of the EM2 Civic. Now we gotta talk about the looks. And again, like the engine, like the McPherson strut, it's just not my favorite. I think this was a downgrade from the EK. Kind of boring. It looks very corporate workplace. Like, it just has the design of a water cooler. I think it's uneventful. I think it's one of the uglier Civics of the era. However, I don't think it's the worst thing in the world. I'm not gouging my eyes out with a Sport. It works. And again, that's all this car needed to do. So with all that being said, let's get on to my final thoughts. What do I think driving the 04 Honda Civic? Well, I like it. It's good. The downside is that it's not a very enthusiast-oriented vehicle. If you wanted that, you could get the Civic Si, which for this generation only was a separate chassis, a separate vehicle. It was built in a different country than these were. So they still had an enthusiast version, the EP3, those are known as, and they're great, they're fun, they have a weird shifter on the dash and all this stuff. But what was lost is that even the Civic DXs and EXs of the 90s were still fun, even in the non-SI variant. Now, the SI variant was the only fun version. So there was no budget-friendly fun Civic. That's what this generation lost. It lost enthusiast appetite for the vehicle, and luckily for the 8th generation, they brought it back swinging and made maybe one of the best generations of Civic ever. So there was a silver lining that came after this generation. But this was meant to be an economy car, and I think it does that very well. I also had the privilege the same day to drive a 2005 Nissan Sentra, a direct competitor to this vehicle. This car feels better built. I have more trust and faith in that engine. I have more trust and faith in parts availability. Throw a rock in a metropolitan area and you're gonna hit a place that sells Honda parts. It works time and time again. There's no fuss about it. It's just a simple, economical car. So while I might not be on the edge of my seat, that's okay, because this car served the masses and did its job as a Honda Civic. It just wasn't on the cover of any magazines, which, hey, I can live with. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Huge thank you to Dayton for letting me borrow his Honda Civic for today's video. Dayton and his brother Nevada, as well as his father John, have been very, very helpful. I've reviewed several of their cars here today, so you'll either see them on the channel soon or have already seen them recently. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Don't forget to rate the video, comment on the video, and subscribe if you really liked it. Take care, guys.